I don't know how to start, but let's journey from day one. Actually, the journey was from day one was so catchy. We started with the IELTS frequent asked questions, but unfortunately, I didn't complete the session because I had a rescheduled date before the session. Then we went to the component of IELTS test. We start with, but here I didn't write it in order, or I didn't write them in order. So speaking, we learned what are the parts of speaking test, and what are the criteria of speaking test: fluency, coherence, lexical resources, grammatical range, and pronunciation. Then we moved to another skill, which is writing, and I was so actually embarrassed with the strategy of power. Okay, so which is plan, organize, write, edit, and revise. Also, it was so we learned how to just write a paragraph, a correct paragraph, starting from the introduction to the main body and to the conclusion, and how we can start the introduction with paraphrasing. This is sentence and the outline sentence. Then we go to the main body and how to write the main body and the main idea. And you mentioned that every main body should has just only one main idea, and then I must support my idea either with examples or explanation. Then the last we can make paraphrase or just transfer. Then the conclusion, and we move to another skill, which is listening. And this sentence was so advantageous to us that teaching before testing. We must teach first, then test. Okay, then we went through the strategies of listening. So listening for specific information, identifying details, and so listening for just inferent underlying meaning. And actually, I wasn't so familiar with these strategies of listening. Okay, so it was so perfect to learn about them. Okay, then we moved to reading. Also, we learned some sub-skills. Reading sub-skills like deducing meaning of lexes and inferring meaning, skimming for general meaning, intensive reading, and so. These were the main skills of IELTS test. Then we went to some another points in our course. What is special about teaching an exam class, what is special about teaching an exam class, why it is different from regular English, and factors to consider in exam course planning. Okay, then we studied about the difference between online and face-to-face, and how to provide feedback on learners' productions, and that was perfect actually. How to give the feedback, either instant feedback or delayed feedback. Okay, so we covered all these points. About the most enjoyed activity, I said, like Tijal had just said, that almost all the activities were enjoyable and very beneficial. But this exercise has a special place in my mind because I learned a lesson from this activity. That's why I insisted on writing the activity like we have learned. Okay, so that you must read the instructions carefully. We learned a good lesson from this exercise. That's why I mentioned it at first. Okay, that you must read the instructions carefully. And to the last point. Okay, that was one of the most enjoyable activities. Then what I learned from the PDFs, the PDF, of course, was a reference. So I have developed a deeper understanding of the IELTS exam structures and its different components, including listening, reading, writing, and speaking. The materials also helped me to become more familiar with the types of strategies required to answer these components effectively. That's what because the PDFs is like a reference. I went through most of them. Okay, so I learned a lot from these PDFs. About my future plans of updating my skills, I'm working now, and I'm planning to have my Delta. Then I also want to work on my language skills. I'm planning to have some courses related to the language, like phonetics or something like that, to just improve my skill, my language skill. Also, I need to work, I'm planning to work on my soft skills. Okay, so like time management and communications and other things like that. That's all.